Top 10 most educated countries in the world. The fact that education is the single most important factor in determining an individual's and a nation's level of prosperity in the future demonstrates the significance of education. According to a report published by UNESCO in 2017, the total number of students enrolled in higher education programs across the globe climbed from 100 million to 207 million between the years 2000 and 2014. However, there is still a significant gap in educational achievement between countries. While the majority of adults in countries with higher levels of economic development are literate, the quality of education in countries that are termed underdeveloped or undeveloped is thought to be poor. Take a look at the countries that have the highest percentage of their populations holding tertiary, the highest level, degrees. These are the most educated countries in the world. Number 10. United States of America, 50.4%. According to the OECD, despite the significant incentives in the labor market for those who seek tertiary education beyond a college degree, only a small percentage of students will continue their studies beyond the college level. According to the organization, in the United States, the share of young adults, 25-34-year-olds, with a tertiary degree climbed by 8 percentage points between 2008 and 2018, to reach 49%. However, the national statistic obscures the significant differences that exist between the states. There was a wide range of rates across the United States in 2017, with certain states, such as Louisiana and West Virginia, having rates as low as 32% and others, such as the District of Columbia, having rates as high as 73%. Number 9. The United Kingdom, UK, 51.8%. According to the findings of a recent survey by OECD, workers with higher education do much better in the job market. Nevertheless, the report also revealed that the field of study has a deep impact. According to the organization, in the United Kingdom, the average employment rate for adults with tertiary education is 5 percentage points greater than for those with only an upper secondary or post-secondary non-tertiary certification. This is fairly low. Just 5 other OECD countries have a lower employment advantage than the United States. Despite this, persons who have completed their upper secondary education or a post-secondary non-tertiary course of study in the UK have a reasonably high percentage of employment. Number 8. Switzerland, 52.7%, 52.7%. According to the findings of the OECD, Switzerland has a high proportion of adults with post-secondary education and also boasts the second highest proportion of PhD holders among nations that are members of the OECD. The doctoral programs in this country give the impression of being particularly appealing to students coming from other countries. Number 7. Luxembourg, 55%. Among the nations for which there is data available, Luxembourg has one of the highest shares of participating adults who are enrolled in education that is not related to their jobs. According to the OECD, a master's degree is the commonest qualification possessed among adults in Luxembourg who have completed their higher education. When compared to a bachelor's degree, a master's degree confers an employment advantage that is twice as great as the OECD average. Nevertheless, the following statement is made in the report. While Luxembourg reports greater levels of work-life balance than the norm, the work-life balance falls with increased educational attainment, a tendency that is similar to other nations. Number 6. Lithuania, 55.2%. In the past 10 years, there has been an increase in the percentage of people who have completed post-secondary education, and those with tertiary education have excellent career options. Despite this, a report by the OECD states that the total expenditures made by each student in Lithuania are significantly lower than the norm, particularly at the tertiary level. According to the organization, Lithuania spends $7.700 per tertiary student compared to the OECD average of $15.600. Ireland comes in 5th place on the list, 55.4%. According to the OECD, high levels of educational attainment in Ireland can be attributed to the country's favorable employment prospects as well as its high completion rates. According to the organization, almost half of all adults in Ireland, 25-64-year-olds, have received a tertiary qualification, which is one of the biggest proportions across OECD countries. Number 4, Japan, 61.5%. The Japanese government's Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology (MEXT) is in charge of the country's educational system. At the elementary and lower secondary levels, students must attend school whether they want to or not. The vast majority of students enrolled in public schools from elementary school to the lower secondary level. Nevertheless, many students choose to attend private schools for their secondary education and beyond. Kindergartens and daycare centers typically offer some form of education to children before they start elementary school. The students in Japan are described in a report by OEDC as being pretty similar, despite the country's highly developed tertiary education system. According to this organization's report, almost half of 25-64-year-olds have acquired post-secondary education in 2018, which is 13 percentage points greater than the average for the OECD countries. However, as compared to other OECD countries, the proportion of adult and international students studying in Japan is rather low. Number 3, Russia, 62.1%. As a consequence of the various societal, cultural, and economic shifts that occurred in the early 1990s, the educational system in Russia has been undergoing significant development. However, we can observe that the relevance of the special causes of change that are specific to Russia is decreasing at present, as tendencies that are similar to the majority of modern countries are moving to the forefront of attention. Despite having a well-educated population, the OECD survey discovered that Russia's spending on tertiary education is surprisingly lower than the average for the organization. According to the organization, the Russian Federation's expenditure per student at tertiary level was $8.479 in 2016, one of the lowest levels among the OECD countries, as compared to the average amount spent on education across the OECD, which was $15.556. Number 2, Canada, 63%. The majority of Canadians receive their education through the public sector, which is funded and supervised by the various levels of government at the provincial, territorial, and municipal levels. The levels of education available in Canada are typically categorized as follows: primary education, secondary education, and post-secondary education. District school boards are responsible for the administration of educational programs within the provinces that fall under the purview of the Ministry of Education. Education falls under the purview of the provinces, and each one is responsible for developing and implementing its curriculum. According to the OECD, a very small percentage of persons in Canada have earned advanced degrees from higher institutions, even though the country has a high proportion of adults with tertiary education. Despite this above-average performance, the proportion of tertiary-educated younger persons who have achieved a master's or a doctoral degree is below the OECD average, the agency writes. 1/4 of people aged 25 to 34 had finished a short-cycle post-secondary program, and almost the same proportion had finished a bachelor's degree. However, only approximately 10% would have earned a master's or doctoral degree, which is lower than the OECD average of 15%. Number 1, the Republic of South Korea, 69.8%. According to the OECD's Education at a Glance report for 2019, almost every young adult in Korea owns a qualification from an upper secondary school, and the employment rate for those with a tertiary education is above the average for that level of education. According to the report, the percentage of children ages 3 to 17 who were enrolled in educational programs in 2017 was at least 90%, while the percentage of children ages 15 to 19 was 87%, and the percentage of children ages 20 to 24 was just 50%. In addition, the organization discovered that the nation spends more on education than the average for the OECD at both the primary and tertiary levels of education. That private expenditure is significantly higher than public expenditure at the tertiary level, and that enrollment rates in early childhood and care are high, with the majority of children enrolled in private institutions. So, do you like this video? Give your answer in comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos.